When you play the Game of Thrones, you
Subscribe and like.
or you die. There is no middle ground.
All right, hello YouTube. Welcome back to the Grease Goblin YouTube channel. And today's video, we're going to be trying to tackle the idea of how does the Faith Militant plot go in Winds of Winter? And, you know, I read through the last chapter of Dance, the last like actual chapter we've gotten from George. And this is a really difficult subject to answer because there's some leaps that we have to make just given the Winds of Winter POV chapters. And the most interesting part about that is we don't get any in King's Landing. So it's the one we have to speculate the most on, given information that we're given from other POVs, given the news of Westeros. So we're going to try to put a timeline together of what's going on and what is going to allow either Cersei to defeat the Faith Militant or someone like Aegon to come around and do that as well. But before we get into the video, if you guys like to like, subscribe, and comment, please do. It helps the channel grow, reach our people that might like this content as well. And let's get into it. So let's do kind of a little bit of a recap. So the last chapter we get, Kevin Lannister is going about trying to fix all of the things that Cersei did. We know that Cersei's trial is going to be in the next few days. We know that Marjorie is about to have her trial with the Faith. And again, this is what the political landscape is looking like in King's Landing. On the small council, we have a perfect equal set of 3 and 3. 3 Lannister supporters, 3 Tyrell supporters. And so on the Lannister supporters, we have Pycelle, we have Harris Swift, and Kevin Lannister. On the Tyrell side, we have Paxter Redwine, Randall Tarley, and Mace Tyrell as the new Hand of the King. And so we get to this point where it's Kevin trying to, you know, repair that relationship, again, fix and appease the relationship with the Faith, and trying to make peace everywhere. And he's going about it in a pretty good way. But there's a bit of a wrench thrown into this. So the kingdoms are just kind of in open rebellion right now. We have a lot of different things going on, whether that be with the Greyjoy plot, with the Young Griff plot, with Stannis in the north. There's just a lot of things going on. Dany. And so the decision has basically come to this idea where, okay, the Tyrells and all of their bannermen are going to go fix this Young Griff problem, because the main concern here is that, okay, if Dany comes over and unites with Jon Con and this Golden Company, we're going to be in some big problems. And so that's kind of the plan, is like, okay, after Marjorie's trial, we're going to see the Tyrells and the Tarleys, and they're going to go and fix this problem with Young Griff. And that's all going to happen. Now, there's a wrench thrown in here because we know that Pycelle and also Kevin Lannister die. We know that Harris Swift is in Braavos by the Winds of Winter sample chapter. Again, there are some things you're going to have to take with a grain of salt in here because the Winds of Winter sample chapters are subject to change. George could change them whenever they want. They're not official yet. So, you know, there's just things you kind of have to play along with as of right now. And so this leaves us in a really weird spot because in reality, Cersei is actually in a very strong position. All of the figureheads for the Lannisters in power right now in King's Landing are either dead or gone. But at the same time, that doesn't mean a Tyrell takeover, because we know by the Arianne POV chapter that Mace Tyrell and Rhaenys Tarly are marching to Storm's End. And so we also know that Paxter Redwine wasn't even here in this meeting. He was also leading his fleet to take on the Greyjoys. So the small council at this moment is completely empty. Okay, well, how does that work then? Because now, okay, nobody has any power over Cersei to make her go back to Casterly Rock, which is what Kevin initially planned. And you also build upon this fact that Kevin Lannister, again, we're told a couple points here. Again, we have to kind of predict how many men Kevin Lannister actually had with him at King's Landing. It's never actually stated. But we get this quote that I'm going to play for you guys, but I'm going to give you guys kind of just some backdrop of what this is. This is when Kevin Lannister and Cersei are talking. Again, this is before Kevin Lannister comes back as the regent. This is when Kevin Lannister is being kind of approached about being the Hand of the King and all of that.
I hold no lands, that is true. But I have certain incomes
and chests of coin set aside. My own father forgot none of his children when he died, and Tywin knew how to reward good service. I feed 200 knights and can double that number if need be. There are free riders who will follow my banner, and I have the gold to hire sellswords. You would be wise not to take me lightly, your grace, and wisse still not to make of me a foe.
Now, again, he says that he can field 200 men with enough gold to get more. And so I also would come to this idea that I think Kevin Lannister, when you look at the Kevin Lannister, when it comes to the respect of the Westermen, could probably even raise more than that just because of the respect that he has over the years with Tywin. And so when he comes back to King's Landing, we know that he brought men with him, right? Pycelle and Harris Swift are saying that they would like additional guards for their doors, maybe fearing the Tyrells trying to kill them, put their own men on the small council. And we also know this because at the end of the chapter, Kevin Lannister says that there are hundreds of guards or Lannister men in King's Landing. So we know that there's now this Lannister force here. It's the only force really remaining outside of the Golden Cloaks, because again, the Tyrells took all of their forces, and the Tarleys as well, took their forces to Storm's End. Well, who are these men now going to follow? Right? Like, who else is there to follow? All the Lannister men are dead. And so I am someone that thinks, okay, Cersei is also going to see this. Cersei's going to understand, okay, well, we have all of these men. They're going to be loyal to me. I'm like the last Lannister here. And when you put that together with what is going on in the capital as well, again, Varys has this idea that Cersei's going to think that this was the Tyrells and maybe Tyrion as well. And that's perfect logic. Because, again, Pycelle and Harris Swift already thought there could be a decision where the Tyrells could try assassinating them. So Cersei is going to fall right into this, right? And the perfect part about this is that the Tyrells, on the other hand, are going to think that it's Cersei, because it makes perfect sense when you look at, okay, Kevin was trying to send Cersei back. So now we have this thing where Cersei is probably going to have this decent-sized army. She's going to, I also think, for the moment, have the gold cloaks. Now, why do I think she's going to have the gold cloaks? Littlefinger and Varys both want Cersei on the throne because she's a bad ruler. It'll make it much easier for someone else to come in and swoop in and take the throne. Varys quite literally talks about this when he's saying his little spiel to Kevin Lannister that he can't really let Kevin undo all of Cersei's good work. And so it's very much in Varys' interest for Cersei to regain power. How does he do that? For one, he could pay off the Golden Cloaks, which was something Littlefinger could do as well, to just say, hey, support Cersei. So now you give Cersei, again, the Golden Cloaks and this Lannister force, and then you also look at her having the Mountain, or Robert Strong. Cersei, in the blink of an eye, now has a sizable force. So what does she do with this sizable force? And this is where we kind of get to the idea of the Faith Militant. The Faith Militant are in an interesting spot because they have the support of the people. They are, they have a large following. How do you wipe them out? And I think this is where we kind of get to the parallels of the show of having this idea of Cersei, using some sort of wildfire. Now, it's not going to be the same in the show. In the show, it was kind of this idea that, oh, the wildfire just took everybody out and that was the end of the Faith Militant. That's not going to happen. There's just too many people in the Faith Militant. So what I see happening is I see that maybe this trial happens and Cersei just says, nah, not going, right? Who is going to be here to tell her no? Qyburn's the only other person really that has power, and he's a Cersei guy. So they're going to find this wildfire. It's just been hinted at way too much through Cersei's POVs. And through other POVs saying that there's still wildfire here, like through Jaime. So I think what we're going to see is something similar to the show, where we see the Sept being destroyed. But we also see the Golden Cloaks, the Lannisters, hunting down any of the Faith Militants that do not die from this, because there's inherently going to be others there. And this is how Cersei's going to take full power of the city, in my opinion. If she's going to have her army kill off anyone that isn't in this explosion, in this area of effect, and she's just going to get away with it, right? Like, once the Faith Militant leadership is destroyed, and, you know, you have the Faith Militant all scattered throughout the city, and you have this great, you know, trained Lannister army, you have the Gold Cloaks, Cersei's going to have control of the city. Now, is that going to mean that Cersei is going to be able to rule it? No, because this is going to have a lot of side effects. One of those side effects I could definitely see is Tommen could do something like he did in the show, where maybe it's too much for him and he kills himself. I don't think that's the case, right? It could be, but I don't think so. For me, you know, we have seen those hints that Tommen has not been happy. That's something that Kevin Lannister notes. It's the happiest that Kevin has seen him at this dinner he has with Cersei in a very long time. So this could be the case, right? Maybe Tommen just has enough. I don't know. I like it more, the idea that he is killed by the Sand Snakes, but who knows? And so we get this idea where now Cersei's in control, but she has a population that's not happy with her. Again, she just destroyed a religious monument, destroyed a place and a group of people that the people were supporting up to this point, and the people do not like Cersei. Remember, Cersei's, one of her last things is the Walk of Atonement. And so now you have this idea where, yes, Cersei has taken control, but the general public is completely against her. That's something that Kevin notes. And so now, given that this, you know, amount of time is going to go forward, I think Cersei will have enough control, but this is when the problem happens, because we'll see young Griff come over, and I think the Gold Cloaks will flip at this point, right? I think they'll be under either Varys or Littlefinger's thumb, and at this point, you release them, and now the gates are going to be open. All you have is maybe this small contingent of Lannister forces protecting Cersei, and so that is where I think we're going to be sitting at. Could maybe we also see Jaime bring back the Lannister army? Possibly. I don't know how the timing is going to work out there. It's definitely possible that maybe after all this happens, that Jaime brings back and bolsters the King's Landing defense, but the Gold Cloaks still flip sides. Very possible. And so, again, the Faith Militant, to me, is destined to fail, regardless. I think it's an interesting thing where George kind of looks back on history and all of these kind of religious uprisings of maybe like the Crusade era, things of that nature. And a lot of those got put down fairly quickly. So I think that's where George is kind of pulling this, is that, yes, the people can rise up and have a lot of power, but at the same time, usually those get put down at some point. And I think Cersei is going to go on this massive vengeance arc. I don't think she's this tamed lion. I think this is all kind of a performance. She is smart enough to realize with the position she's at right now, she can't do anything. But when she starts seeing it opening up, that her path to power is returned, we'll see the old Cersei again come out. And so thank you guys all for watching this video. I hope you guys all enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys all in the next video. Bye, guys.